What if I told you that a power company that sells itself as the UK's largest source of renewable energy is actually fueling environmental racism in the US? It's called Drax, and it burns wood grown in the US to produce electricity here in the UK. At Unearthed, we uncovered the ways in which Drax has polluted the air of Black communities in America's Deep South.
I'm living in fear because I can't breathe. And if you can't breathe, you can't live. So I'm not scared to tell nobody that I'm having difficulties breathing.
We've also found evidence that Drax has repeatedly breached US clean air rules, risking the health of the communities who live near its wood pellet mills.
Even for the wood pellet industry, this seems like a high number of violations, and a lot of violations that are due to Drax not doing what they should do.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Here's Lies the Truth podcast. So in this video, right, we're going to talk about another company that has been that's polluting the air. So when I initially started working on this story, I got the story by from ABC News. ABC News came out with this article. So I get a lot of articles. When I get them in, I just, like, when I come across these certain articles that I want to, go back and revisit the information in those articles, what I do is I email myself the article, right? So you can see right here, here's the link. Once I did my research, because I've researched everything before I even put it out, even things that I know, I'm still going to research, right? I'm still going to make sure and double check and triple check. So as I was working on this story, right, if you click on that link, the ABC News link, if you put the URL inside of your search on the Google search bar, the article is no longer around. Why isn't the article anywhere around? Because this right here looks bad on the Biden-Harris administration.
In the southern US is a small town called Gloucester in Mississippi. Further in is a trailer park community called Blackman Hole, and stationed right next to it is a wood pellet plant called Amite, and was soon releasing illegal levels of toxic pollutants into the air of this predominantly Black community. But the owners of this plant live a long way away from Gloucester, Mississippi. Drax, this huge biomass energy firm, calls itself the UK's largest source of renewable energy and gets millions from the UK government and invests big in its clean image. But what does biomass even mean? Biomass involves cutting down trees and compressing them into wood pellets, which are then burnt for electricity. But many aren't aware of the toxic emissions associated with the wood pellet making industry, or the communities affected by it. According to our findings, half of Drax plants are located in predominantly Black areas in the US. Critics say that the opening of these plants has increased air pollution and noise pollution.
There was a lot of buzz happening in the town, a lot of excitement, and rightfully so. This is why there was a high level of excitement. This is a new opportunity. And unbeknownst to us, even during this time, high levels of toxins were being emitted into the air.
In 2020, the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality, MDEQ, fined this plant $2.5 million for exceeding legal limits on toxic chemicals called volatile organic compounds, VOCs for short, since 2016. Each year, the plant was releasing 3 times more than was legally permitted.
VOCs can be dangerous at any level. If you were to be exposed to VOCs, you would notice symptoms like dizziness, nausea, eye irritation, and headache. What we really know about VOCs, what we know to be true, is that they are cancer causing. And that's a massive concern to these areas that we call sacrifice zones, where they're constantly coming in contact with these exposures.
Where did the $2.5 million go? That's a $2.5 million question.
That fine should have came to our community. A community that has nothing, and you take 2.5 million and you put it wherever, when you have a community that's in need.
We've looked at all kinds of non-compliance in the wood pellet industry across all 10 states in the South where they are. And there's been a ton of non-compliance, but what stood out for me with Drax, they supplied the state of Mississippi with what is the clearest example of I can't prove fraudulent, but extremely dubious emissions testing in order to avoid doing the right thing. And, we don't have the data to prove that it was intentional, but even if it wasn't intentional, it was incredibly reckless, because we now know once the real tests were done, their emissions were far higher than they were claiming.
But we've discovered that amite is not the only US plant where Drax has been releasing illegal levels of VOCs into poor and predominantly black communities. In August this year, Drax agreed to pay $1.6 million apiece for breaches of environmental rules at its Louisiana pellet plants, Morehouse, and LaSalle Bioenergy. That's a total of $3.2 million for a pattern of illegal emissions on a similar scale to that seen in Mississippi. But that's not all. It follows an earlier $20,000 settlement that Drax reached with Louisiana regulators in 2020 for a string of other environmental violations at its Morehouse plant.
All three of their plants were not only emitting hundreds of tons of illegal VOCs every year they were operating, but we now know from these notice of penalties that they were committing a lot of other important violations that were leading to air pollution controls not working within their intended range, which could emit all kinds of higher levels of emissions.
Remarkably, Drax doesn't actually have to publish up-to-date air pollution data on its plants. But the latest data it published for 2021 shows that in that year, Drax was still breaching limits at least one of those plants. Despite these environmental breaches, Drax is classified as a green energy company in the UK, and as a result, it receives the equivalent of £2 million a day in UK government subsidies.
It's not all about me. It's about the world and its community and the people that's in this community and the kids and elderly. Can't sit back and just assume toxic air and think that it's okay. You gotta tell somebody, you gotta let them know we need help.
Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Is this something that, should ABC News answer to why they're censoring this article off of their website, number one? Number two, what do you think about these European companies or these international companies that are coming here and establishing businesses that are poisoning the citizens of the country that they're got their business in? And why are our politicians complacent with this and not putting either stricter regulations on these companies or banning whatever it is that they're doing in those areas altogether? Why aren't the local, what do y'all think about the local politicians? Like, should they have stepped in and did more and did better due diligence before signing off on that company to be able to come out there and manufacture and build that manufacturing facility? So let me know in the comments, man. Like, share this video, and I'm gonna holler back at y'all.